So, good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of NNF Karnataka State Chapter, myself, I'm Dr. Prashant Gowda, Secretary, NNF Chapter, State Chapter. Would like to welcome all of you. So, we have been doing this marathon of web series from last 8 months, and from last 3 months, we have been having. It's more like an Harvard style of discussion with each and every aspects of hospital management, healthcare setup, profit, loss, cost, benefit. We have actually touched every part of the hospital infrastructure and health infrastructure. So today we have radio diagnostic setup, the advantages, disadvantages, and what are the options available, how to go about, because it's going to be a huge investment and it is a separate department by itself, and which carries a lot of revenue as well. So we have two expert speakers. So on behalf of NNF Karnataka, we would like to give a very, very warm welcome to our speaker, Mr. Sunder RK. He is the General Manager, Clinical Application for Imaging at Wipro GE Healthcare. Welcome, sir, on behalf of NNF Karnataka State Chapter.
Thank you.
Then we have another expert speaker, Mr. Krishnaprasad. He is MD, CEO, Prognosis Medical. On behalf of NNF Karnataka, we would like to give a warm welcome to you, sir. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much and good evening.
Yeah.
Glad to be here, sir.
And we have our expert panelist, Dr. Karthik Hegde. He's my friend and my colleague, and he's an expert in diagnostic setup, and he himself is a radiologist, but he has done is fulfilling the role of entrepreneur come consultant radiologist, and he's the managing director and the founder of Focus Diagnostic in Bangalore. He has got various branches across Bangalore. Dr. Karthik, welcome on behalf of NNF Karnataka State Chapter. We have another panelist, Dr. Dhananjay. He happens to be also my friend, and he's also a consultant radiologist, and he's an expert and he has got good experience in teleradiology. So he will be joining as an expert panelist. Then we have Dr. Suresh. I call him Shakuntala Devi of hospital health infrastructure because he can tell without even looking at anything. From his mind only, he can tell the various aspects of hospital infrastructure. Welcome, Dr. Suresh, on behalf of NNF Karnataka. Then we have Mr. Vijay Kumar. He is the CEO and Managing Director of PZ Private Limited. I think I've spelled it right. Vijay, welcome on behalf of NNF Karnataka State Chapter. All right, so I request now Mr. Sunder to start this presentation. So audience, kindly mute yourself till the session is completed. And once the session is completed, then we'll take up questions and then we'll move forward accordingly. Over to you, Mr. R.K. Sunder. And I request you to give a brief introduction about your experience so that our delegates get to know about the speaker.
All right. Sure.
Mr. Sunder.
Sure. So is my screen visible for all?
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, great. Thanks, Dr. Prashant and respected panelist. A great privilege and of course, let me say all the best wishes for the marathon program as you mentioned. NNF is doing in the fraternity, including different aspects, and right today it's on imaging and great work and our great appreciations from GE Healthcare as well. About me, I studied my diploma in radiology technology from Trivandrum Medical College, then did my advanced diploma in medical imaging from Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute in Trivandrum. Way back in 1997 and 98, I joined in Wipro GE Healthcare as clinical lab specialist in imaging. Handled multiple roles across the organization in terms of clinical applications, product development, of course, stint on commercial roles as well. Right now, I head the clinical applications for GE Healthcare South Asia for all imaging modalities. So that's in short introduction about me. Today, great topic. It was a little challenging for me to select what should be the topic. Then, after short discussion, I could make a little bit of a new way of looking at imaging today. And I call this topic with a heading called Attenuating Challenges in Pediatric Imaging, CT and MR. Okay. So both these modalities are my primordial modalities which I handle. So can give many insight, and please use the opportunity and the time to go through it and let me know anything you want to know more. Of course, what we will discuss today is imaging in imaging with CT. We will see what is the risk associated and why these risks are. And of course, you cannot live without imaging in diagnostics, and we will then discuss there are multiple methodologies now available, the technological advancement which are there, which can help you to mitigate the risk associated with imaging with CT. Then we will discuss on MR. Of course, you know that there is not much risk into like CT where you have radiation, but of course in MR there is no much of those challenges. But there are certain other challenges which need to be addressed, and there are certain classic methods to mitigate it, and as well as there are we can do it better now with technology advancement. That will be a newer insight which I will be giving. So both of this will help you to even if you're trying to purchase a new CTMR kind of thing, or it can give an insight for you what should be your selection, and as well as when you are referring a patient to a place where you can actually ask whether these facilities are there, so that the best out of a single scan. Of course, it's an expensive thing for the patient as well as expensive time spent on all at all ends. So how much we'll be able to get the best benefit and the best treatment possible looking at the patient side. So that's what in nutshell the topic today will be. Let me start with a question. Who, as I said, CT is the first modality we will go through now. So a person who undergoes CT, whether the radiation which is received, is it low or high? Who gets this more, girl or boy? Is it good or bad? Definitely we say it's bad. So multiple questions are there, but very interestingly, there was no estimation which has happened for CT radiation dose for a very long period from 1972 when CT was invented by Sir Godfrey Hounsfield. And all studies came in late 90s where we were able to get a certain amount of data, and those were analyzed to come to something like a result, say 0.03 to 69, almost 70 millisievert per scan. I will tell you what is millisievert in later slide, but this is a big number actually. So that means a lot of radiation is involved. And another study, of course, which was not actually governed on anything to do with CT, but medical exposures, but which stated that the risk of developing solid cancers in their lifetime is more for girls than boys. Of course. Then some other studies says around 400 abdomen studies for abdomen pelvis, a female patient, means a girl, can develop as a higher risk compared to boys of the same age. And some other studies say 1.9 is 2 cases per 10,000 CT scan has a risk of developing leukemia. And now going to the US national average, 4 million pediatric scans are done in year per year. And if you take the number, you multiply, it comes to almost like nearly 5,000 future cancers which we are developing using CT. Of course, these are all risks which can come from CT. Of course, there is no clear number, say if you do 1,000 patient, there will be one cancer patient. No, it's all risk development rate. Okay. Now, the interesting statement which is there in the last line of the page is reducing even the smallest possible 25% of the radiation dose using some or other technique can prevent 43% of this risk. So you look at how big it is. So today we have technology which can literally bring that down almost like 1/8 of the normal doses delivered. So we do have a great relief, a great news of relief for all of us. So one paper started all this story, which was published in 2001. Okay, this was a paper which has opened eye of everyone. And then immediately in 2001, and then there's another paper also which said about 1.6 million children get CT scan, and of course, and out of that 1,500 will die because of cancer in later age. Then American Journal came with multiple things. All this sequence of events happens in this period of late 90s. In 2001, 2002 onwards, there are a lot of papers came on talking about the risk of radiation, and someone say 1 in 1,000 will get a fatal cancer. And Patterson's article was very clear. It's an eye opener actually. It says the exposure in CT given to children are much higher than what is necessary. So this journal paper actually opened up why what the need of optimizing a scanner for the patient or designing a scanner for a patient. Pediatric population. Simple method, of course, this was a nice one. Simple method can decrease CT, and this is practically what we can achieve in any system, even without any advanced technology. What we can achieve is described by in the journal paper. Now, when we say all this, so far I've spoken about radiation dose and CT. It makes us to not to approach CT. CT becomes a taboo in front of all of us. But reality is the risk of surgery is much higher. One says that 1 in 30 surgery as a major event, 1 in 2,500 as a risk of death. So compared to all this, a 300 CT scans, pediatric CT scan per year can save one lifetime every year. So that means a CT, in case where it is really required, if it is used the proper way, following the methods to reduce the dose, can be a lifesaver than going for a risky surgery. So that's what opens up. There was, of course, if you look at, there was a sharp decline on number of CTs in the late 2000s. Later, now you can see that it is not that so, and now the scenario is changed. We understood how to mitigate the risk of radiation dose. Getting into how we calculate dose, every CT scan, I'm not going to read this, every CT scan gives this interesting information called prospective dose report. Before you scan, you get this, and after the dose, you get a report like this. But it's pretty bad to interpret this. Need a radiology expert. Of course, very interestingly, we have two panelists who are radiologists today. They can easily interpret it, and we can also help that there. There is a conversion table there which we have to use. Each region is given with a weighting factor, and you multiply that weighting factor with the value which comes on your dose report called dose length product to get what is the approximate dose. For example, this patient who got 150 milligray centimeter as the DLP, you multiply with chest factor 0.017, which is adult factor, you get a total dose of 2.5 millisievert. So the dose is expressed in millisievert. Now it will be worthwhile to look at what is the radiation dose and what is this millisievert. Millisievert is very simple thing to understand. It's a measure of energy deposited by radiation in tissue. 1 millisievert is equivalent energy of lighting up a 1 watt bulb for 1 millisecond. Or I will say, if it is 1 sievert, you can lit a 1 watt bulb for 1 second. Usually in CT, the dose range goes from 2 millisievert to 10 millisievert, or 2 milligray to 10 milligray, I can say, if it is not converted to effective dose. This is equivalent to lit up a light bulb of 1 watt for just 2 to 10 milliseconds. So much of a extremely low amount of energy which you are depositing. Then why we are scared about this? Is it some other effect? Yes. The most scared effect of radiation is unknown effect of genetic changes. Even though we classify known and unknown stochastic, non-stochastic and stochastic effect. So the risk of developing future cancer because of genetic mutation are considered to be the major risk. This table talks about different comparison of radiation dose in different radiological as well as nuclear medicine investigation. And we can see that the chest CT or the abdomen CT, which goes up to 3 millisievert. Okay. Of course, on the last column, you can see it's equivalent of chest X-ray. But in my point of view, describing dose of CT equivalent to that of chest doesn't make a big sense, because one chest X-ray or 100 chest X-ray will not stand equal to a CT image, because one is cross-sectional image, other is a planar image. So how we can get into a meaningful comparison? For example, if you look at chest CT gives a dose of 3 millisievert. What is the meaning of it? A 3 millisievert dose is equivalent dose what you receive from Mother Earth on a natural surrounding if you sit for a year. That, or I can say the natural background radiation dose what you get from your surrounding without any medical exposure is 3 millisievert. So now you know how smaller it is. But is it not risky? Yes, of course. Any amount of radiation following the principle of ALARA, as long as reasonably achievable, any amount of radiation dose need to be minimized. Of course, there are so many functions are there which governs the dose to the patient during your scanning. It starts even from properly centering the patient, proper instruction to the patient immobilization. But one thing, when you and of course the KVMA and other parameterist technologists or the radiologists select during the scan. But one thing which we should look at is who receives the highest dose. Is none other than the smaller body who will receive the higher dose, because dose is calculated as energy deposited per unit gram of tissue. When the unit gram of tissue goes down, the energy deposited is higher. So that means pediatric patients, where the smaller body will get more radiation absorbed dose compared to an adult for a given exposure parameter, given KVMA or given amount of X-rays. In other words, we cannot treat the children as young adults. They need to be treated as a separate. Therefore, we should have certain things available mandatorily now available. Of course, this is a lot of government regulations are there from AERB in India as well as from FDA, and many regulations are there which all clearly states these are the essential requirement for a CT scan. Certain CT scan older machines may not have it, but upgradations are possible now. So ensure these are all done. And the most essential one which I say here is the BMI based low dose protocol. Okay. And then patient centering, which of course your technologist can help. Of course, it all rest in his hand than anyone else. And of course, certain new technologies like iterative reconstruction, shuttle mode scan, these are all possible. There are motion correction methodologies are all possible today. How much are this available and how much it is not available, that's a big question in front of us, because most of systems in many places may not be a very new one, but adopting the best possible can literally cut down the radiation dose. As I said earlier, 25% reduction can almost help 50% cancer risk development. Few things in detail. One is the compact design gantry. Of course, when I say compact design gantry, it is nothing but as you know, CT machine uses an X-ray tube, and there is a detector which detects the X-ray. The distance, if it is the smallest possible, then that will reduce the dose to the patient. There is no big physics there. As the source is closer, better will be the signal at the detector. It's very simple than long geometry. But then why some company makes a long geometry one, some company makes a short geometry one? There is one thing which I want to say: when you are creating a short geometry one, you need more detector cell close packing, which make your system expensive. Okay. Then of course active beam tracking, so that X-ray beam exactly fall on the required region. Then automated MA regulation depends on the patient's radiographic thickness. No post-patient collimation, should be avoided as much possible. Then, of course, the last one, which is a very important point, is dedicated pediatric protocol. I work with GE Healthcare, where we use internationally accepted system called Borsellino-Luton system. This was a multi-level award winner protocol where you can see different pink, red, purple, yellow, white, and black, etc. So these are all different age-based, BMI-based protocol selection. So this ensures that if you, as the system automatically selects as the moment you enter the patient age in the system, it automatically pop up the right protocol of the right color coding, so that there is no accidental technologist intervention to use a wrong protocol. So that's very important that you should have this facility in your CT scanner to minimize the dose, and also, of course, the technologists need to be trained. That is, re-educated if they are not already using it, to use the right protocol selection. Of course, another very important thing is patient centering. This becomes very big challenge, especially when you have small babies. You don't know actually their size in the gantry. Because gantry is a 70 centimeter big bore, and if a patient may be less than 15 centimeter in total diameter. And to center them properly is a task, and you should spend a little bit of time. It's not a Herculean task to do, but it's a task, of course, to do. Keep the patient exactly to the center of the CT scanner. You know how much radiation dose on average you can save? You can save straight away 50% if you properly center. If you're wrong position by 6 centimeter up or down, you need to give 50% more radiation to maintain the same image quality. So that makes a very important point, which every technologist today can adopt without any additional thing. You don't need to invest anything. You just need to simply carefully center the patient. Color coding for kid, I explained, as much possible should use. Another very important thing which we ought to know is a clinical task. Know your clinical task before you start your scan. For example, a patient who has come for whether the shunt tube is in situ or not. You don't need an expensive, I mean, in the sense, the radiation dose expensive scan, which is 6.7 millisievert to see that. You need just a small dose scan, that's enough. So these are well documented in recent years. And this is a very nice chart, which is, I have seen it in this paper, where they have suggested what all the things you can follow to make your CT examination kid friendly. So some of the suggestions are easy to do in any routine system, and some of them may be purchase of an additional option or capabilities, which can again help in optimizing the radiation exposure. There's a very, very nice article which actually talks about great usage of CT machine without over radiating, so that compared to any other investigation, CT is the simplest and fastest solution, especially for moving kids, and how effective you can use it without that additional radiation dose. Few recent things which have come, I thought of mentioning that to you. One is called ODM, organ dose model. Whenever you do CT scan for any patient, there are certain critical organs which are radiosensitive comes into the imaging plane. For example, lens of the eye, the thyroid, breast, gonads. So these are all the sensitive organs. They come into the X-ray field. As you know, in CT scan, the X-ray has to go around the body. So they will get exposure all the time, okay, when the X-ray tube goes around. The previous method to put a bismuth flap. Bismuth is a high attenuating material. We put it on the top of the body and then take an image, take the picture without much exposure to this region. But it used to create a lot of artifact. You can see this much area is whitened, so it's created hyperdensity, which is artifactual. So that's not a very practical solution, and bismuth flaps are removed. Nowadays, no one uses that. The other method, which is recently incorporated, is this one, is ODM. It's called electronic shutter, organ dose modulation. When you keep this on, the dose to the critical organs are reduced by 1/8 of that without this facility. So many, yeah, now I can say almost every CT scanner of recent age has this capability of organ dose modulation. Please interest whenever you are referring or asking for a CT scan, please kindly use ODM sentence, if you mention it, to be nice. And of course, radiographers are bound to use that. and that helps in avoiding the dose to the critical organ. The other one is the use of iterative reconstruction, which has come very much popular, which straight away has cut down the radiation dose not only in pediatrics but also everywhere universally by somewhere from 40 to 50% on a practical basis, and this is called iterative reconstruction. Today, most of the CT scanners which are installed after 2010 or 12 must be having one or the other method of iterative reconstruction. Today, some newer system from G Healthcare has very powerful iterative reconstruction algorithm which can potentially reduce the radiation dose to about 80% on a practical scan. Okay. There is a classical example of a pediatric scan that you can see the radiation dose typically for a head scan is about 2 to 3 millisievert. You can see it's reduced by 50% to 1.2 millisievert, right, without any compromise of image quality. But when we go to body scanning, it makes utmost challenging. But again, use of iterative reconstruction has brought down the dose to 0.7 millisievert. I know now you will be able to correlate when I mean by millisievert. 3 millisievert, once again, 3 millisievert is the annual natural background radiation we get. Okay, so we can do at less than 1/3 of that for a pediatric angiography on a CT scan. There are new other technique which is called volume helical shuttle. You can see here in the video if it's visible for you. CT scan has become dynamic. You can do a dynamic scanning of the region where if the patient can move in any velocity or speed, it is equivalent to the patient breathing. By incorporating this technology, you can get free breathing imaging of pediatrics, especially whenever there is a lot of breathing are associated. Even if you sedate, you will not be able to control the breathing because it's a voluntary one. You get a lot of artifact now using this new technique called volume helical shuttle. Of course, available in high-end CT scanners can potentially be a great tool in getting images without any breathing artifact. And of course, that not only can help you in imaging the moving, arresting the breathing artifact, it also can show sometime blood flow through the great vessels. Here you can see aortopulmonary collaterals very well visualized and the dynamic flow through it. We always think that CT is a static imaging method, but I can now say CT has become so dynamic with the volume helical shuttle. Just to summarize what is there in CT before we jump into MR, there are so many things which you can do from the scanner, starting from its subgradation, and of course a few things which I mentioned clearly is use of right exposure technique, right protocol, pediatric protocol selection, technologies like ODM, iterative reconstruction, etc. These are all to be done at the scanner level. Of course, on the user side, proper pediatric protocol usage, task-based, it depends on, like I have shown the head case where if it's a fracture follow-up, you don't need to see a soft tissue there, where you can actually go for a very low technique and get it. And minimal number of phases. This is something many times technologists say, yeah, let me do 3 phases because radiologist tomorrow will scold me if I have not taken. Before doing that, I request them to consult with the radiologist whether it's required or not, so that you can reduce the radiation. Overall effort is to minimize the radiation dose to the patient by following the technology which is on your left side and by the user who is on the right side to get a win-win situation. Reduce the patient dose following the LRA principle. Now, coming to MR, 2 things which makes MR imaging. MR, you know that we don't use ionizing radiation. We use a combination of magnetic field, varying magnetic field, static magnetic field, and radio frequency. None of them seem to be up to 3 Tesla. None of them seems to produce any known genetic effect yet. That's the reason why in pregnancy also antenatal imaging with MR is allowed. Of course, still there is something more to be ruled out. That's why first trimester is always forgotten in MR imaging. After that, you can go for MR imaging in pregnant women. 2 things which makes pediatric imaging very difficult in MR is movement, which can be voluntary and involuntary. Of course, some of the movement we do by regulating the patient movement, bulk movement can be regulated by sedation. So there is no alternative for it. So some sedation is required. But the voluntary movement can be regulated by some advanced technology, because voluntary movements are movements which are known to you. You can predict the motion and you can use advanced technology to correct it, like propeller, promo, or prospective motion correction, etc. Some involuntary movement like respiration or cardiac or blood flow. These are all involuntary movement. We don't have a control it, but the good and great thing about it is these movements follow a simple harmonic motion. This gives us signal. For example, respiration gives out belly movement. That can be taken as an input for you to locate the position of the internal organ. Similarly, for cardiac imaging, ECG is used as the marker or the reference. So when you have a simple harmonic motion and when you have a signal to replicate it, you can use a technology which is simply called, we generally call in radiology, the technology of following a physiological movement is called gating. So we can use gating, cardiac gating or respiratory gating or ECG gating to take care of the physiological movement. Something more when we go beyond the movement, which makes investigations safer and easier, is use of gadolinium contrast is not that much indicated in pediatric population. Especially some of the studies have come out with the teratogenic effect of gadolinium contrast in MR in recent publication. But when it is required, of course, we have to, of course, follow whatever is the right beneficiary thing for the patient. Of course, then we have to override all this. But there are certain sequences like enhance where you don't need to give a contrast media even for doing an abdominal angio or a renal angio or a venogram. So availability of these special packages will help you to reduce the use of or eliminate the use of gadolinium contrast. I'll touch upon the first one to correct the voluntary movement called the head movement of head, for example, or for can be for body, is called propeller. Propeller uses some methodology called radial case-based filling and all. It is available in all the image contrast, like you say T1, T2, flare and diffusion, and as well as in all the planes. Which of course you see the first image, which is a normal T2 scanning, where the patient had a slight movement, but it's non-readable, non-reportable. But when you do it with the propeller, you actually reduce the scan time as well as you get a better image without motion. So that is a technology we need to use invariably in pediatrics. It has become a very good standard nowadays. GE call it as propeller, some other company call it by blade imaging. So both are similar technologies. Going upward, upscaling that, now these are the propeller technology is a retrospective technology. Whereas now we got something called prospective real-time motion correction. So you can see the head is moving in different direction and the movement is mapped, and then you correct for the movement in the prospective. This happens in all the 360 degrees. And of course, a very powerful tool which has come with the recent MR system, the PROMO, its short form is PROMO, prospective motion correction. Another thing which was there, and a challenging aspect in MR imaging, since the day I learned MR in Sri Chitra, there are no dedicated pediatric body coils, because MR work on a principle of receiving radio frequency signal from the body, and if the receiving coils are close to the body, then you will get a better image and you can go for a faster imaging. So you need that special kind of coils which can fit into the pediatric population. Now that we come with flux coils and air coils. Flux coils are coil which can be flexed, like we can bend it and wrap it around. And there is one set of coil which has come, it's called the air technology coil, where you can actually, you can take it, use the coil like it's like a bed sheet. You can wrap it around, it can be closer, it can take the shape of the body. And it's very lightweight also. And that means you can easily put it on the body of a pediatric patient. The great thing is, since it's closer to the body, the signal is high, the examinations can be done very successful. Of course, it's a new technology. It has availability limitation, of course, with 3T systems are available. The conventional methodology, when you go for pediatric imaging especially, this is an advanced technology is also to use ultra-fast sequences. Ultra-fast sequences are sequences which can potentially reduce the MR scan time by almost, I can say, 60 to 80% as an average. And certain pulse sequences can enormously reduce the scan time from minutes to very few seconds. And they all this need certain technology terms or technology behind it called asset or arc or hypersense, etc. I'm not explaining all this, but they will ensure you are following the ultra fast sequences. Potentially, I have noted many times technologists put the pediatric patient on, but protocol selection is wrong. They use non ultra fast pulse sequences. And one more thing, which very interestingly, which you noted, when you are using ultra short pulse sequences, extremely very fast pulse sequence, the image quality may not be as you get on an adult patient. But here, what makes this very important is what you diagnose in the shortest possible time, rather than getting bad image from patient, especially the pediatric. You can see the scan times for SATS T1, usually 2 to 3 minutes have become 17 seconds. Or you say diffusion weighted image is at about 10 seconds. And of course, flare image in 34 seconds. So we can use ultra fast sequences to get all the image contrast. These are all done in multiple sequences. A novel methodology which has come to combine all these multi image contrast. Of course, with a single T1 or T2, no one do a diagnosis. They need multiple sequences like T1, T2, PD, or a flare, a minimum. So if you take 6 contrasts for a routine scan, the average scan time, of course, this adult scan time is about 15 minutes. Let's see how pediatric also will be more or less the similar. So this is the time you need to keep the patient inside the MR bore, anesthesia to be on, sedation to be on, and of course we need to complete all this. This is how we do that in a conventional MR, even following some of the fast sequences also. Now in the recent present, we got something called MAGIC, which has come in MR, where you can combine all these sequences into a single one, which take about 3 to 5 minutes to complete. So you are saving enormously on the scan time, and you retrospectively create the contrast what you want. So that is called the MAGIC. This is now available in 3 Tesla as well as in 1.5 Tesla system. So it's a more commoner now. Of course, the technology limitation of the innovation has only come up to head imaging, not for body imaging yet. But a real promise in head imaging in 1.5 Tesla. So multiple image contrasts, you can do it in 1/3 of the time compared to a conventional multi-sequential, multi-parametric image contrast series. So you can see some examples here. You can see T1 flare. You can see a T2, a PD image, and of course you can also measure the T1 and T2 values on these images also. So now if you look at overall, what makes your MR successful? You have seen the CT, it is equipment and the user. And of here also is nothing much different. Of course, sufficient sedation is an extremely important thing. Control the physiological movement, go with gating if you can, for example, respiratory or cardiac, and proper gating technology. Now you have gating technology without an external device. For example, you don't need an ECG lead, or you don't need a respiratory bellow. There are certain physiological movement markers. Okay. I will not call markers. I will call it as pointers, which can be used for estimating the body part movement and then correcting it on an AI-based algorithm. Of course, use of motion resistant sequence. Some of the, sorry for the spelling mistake, some of the sequences are motion resistant. So as much use the motion resistant sequence in pediatric imaging. Use ultra fast sequences. Of course, stop it when you have achieved the right image quality than overdoing it. Gadolinium contrast usage, I have explained about enhanced non-contrast MR angiography, and of course the availability of specific pediatric oil makes your MR examinations much better without a compromise on image quality. And he also touched upon the new innovation in MR imaging called MAGIC. It really works to give multi contrast image from a single acquisition. So that was overall which I want to tell about both CT and MR in pediatric imaging. Really, I don't want to get into the depth of each one. The overall picture is that, of course, there are lot of technology availability there today. Selection of the right equipment and the right technology help you to optimize imaging in CT, maybe reducing the radiation dose at the acceptable image quality, and in MR minimizing the artifacts and get the best possible image quality. So thanks for the opportunity once again to the organizers here. Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you so much.
Sundar, I'm Dr. Kishore here.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic lecture. We have heard about the technique, especially concerned with long time. And
Right.
we're all we knew nothing of most of the things talked about. So really appreciate for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sunder, can you stop sharing these slides? Yeah. As Kishore sir said, so it was a wonderful presentation. So since you will be leaving us, so I request our participants, so if they have any questions, and I request our panelists as well to ask any questions or queries if they have with our speaker.
Prashant, I have one question which can I ask?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sundar, I want to ask. They talk about 64 slice, 128 slice, 32 slice. Is there a huge difference in the dose of radiation in these three different or four different things, apart from being old and modern technology? Thank you. Over to you.
Right. So very nice. Thanks for the question, sir. If you look at any radiation dose so far we have spoken, we have not categorized it on slice numbers, right? So irrespective whether it is single slice, dual slice, 4 slice, 16 slice, 64 slice, the radiation dose is estimated on a very specific standards. So that is irrespective of the system. Now, which machine will give more dose, whether it is 16 or 64, if you take a head examination, irrespective of the scanner, the radiation dose remain the same for the same image quality. Now, use of newer technologies, this is something you said, you put an exception on that. Use of newer technologies, faster scanner, iterative reconstruction, efficient detector capabilities, these all a great addendum which will help you to reduce the radiation dose. But for your question, whether it is single, dual slice or 16 or 64, for a given examination, radiation dose is the same if you follow the same technique.
Can I ask you one difficult question, Sundar?
Sure, sir.
The difficult question is, I know GE does a lot of ethical considerations and sales things like that, but there are lots of radiation, CT scanners available of different various companies. Do all the companies follow the same guidelines and the same restrictions for all the countries? For example, do they use the same standards in the US, Europe, and India, or do they follow different standards for different countries from the radiation perspective?
Right.
Back to you.
Okay. So if I can comment on GE for sure. Of course, for some other companies who are all like maybe Siemens or I don't know about Philips, but I can talk about Siemens. Why? Because all of them give a compliance to the ACR guidelines, American College of Radiology ACR guidelines, which is implemented XR 115 by FDA. So any CT has to comply to it. So any product, a CT coming out from these kind of companies have to comply to it. So they follow this pediatric FOV, pediatric AV selection, then iterative reconstruction. So these are the basic requirements you need, and pediatric protocol, they need to be there.
I think I request, it's a wonderful question, sir. I request our panelists also can give their opinion and suggestions regarding this. We'll start with Karthik. Please kindly unmute yourself, Karthik.
Okay, can you hear me now, Sunder?
Yes, yes.
Sure.
Hi, Bachchan.
Yeah.
Sundar, see, of course, it was a beautiful presentation here. Actually, as an end user, I was very interested in that pediatric coil which you spoke about, which is something I've never seen, which is almost like a blanket.
Right. Yeah, that's
Would
a
you
new
like to
technology.
throw more light on that? That actually looked like a very good, idea for a pediatric patient.
Right. That's called air coil. That's
Achha.
called air coil. It's a lightweight one. You are from Bangalore, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Bangalore, we have it in Celera.
Achha.
Dr. Radesh Center.
This presentation of yours looked more like an advertisement for GE, but
No. I even if you look my slide, I have never not even put a single slide has a GE name inside it.
No, the thing is the amount of reputation what GE has and the amount of standard what carry compared to other brands. So it's worth the presentation, no problem. We'll take it as branding as well, no problem.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
it was a
Dr.
big
Karthik.
presentation,
Yeah,
very good
Dr.
presentation.
Dr. Dhananjay, would you like to add something? Yeah. Kindly unmute yourself. Unmute. Voice is not audible. Can you remove that and speak? Remove your hands free and speak. Yeah. We can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay. I would like to comment on 16 slice, 64 slice, and 128 slice. See, there is a lot of radiation as you go higher slice for a smaller body section. So I don't advise 64 slice or 128 slice for any pediatric patient. So 16 slice is more than enough, and it's also like radiation is too much. But if you give a chance for 64, 128, and 16, so I'll say better stop with 16 because rest all everything you can do in MRI. CT is not at all required. And when we say NICU, so there is no need for CT at all. So nowadays we are getting portable MRI and neonatal specific MRI where you can mold a MRI, small size MRI in NICU or PICU, and recent FDA approved portable MRIs also have come up, like Hyperfine, Embrace. There are a few companies, so that's not launched in India. So in this case, CT you can use only when you can't, when you don't have MRI in the premises, or you have to shift to long place and you need high frequency oxygen support or something like that. So this is my view on CT.
Dhananjay, no, I would just like to butt in it. The thing is, of course, commercially, if you look at it, Mr. Sundar also, see, commercially, if you look at it, most centers, we are all running with 16 or maximum 32. 128 and all is all for, probably if you're going too much into it, or if you're, even looking into going to research and all that. But I don't really agree with that. Maybe Sundar can throw more light on it. I feel, if it's a higher slice, the time should reduce, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, there are two. First of all, Dr. Dhananjay, the radiation dose doesn't differ whether you do it on a 16, 64, 128 because radiation dose is calculated on a CTDI, which is calculated on a 10 millimeter detector size, irrespective of whichever machine, and it is calculated at 120 kV, 100 MAS. Okay, that's how it is being defined, and then you up calculate or down calculate according to your collimation pitch, etc. So the basic reference in all systems are the same. So system to system, there is no change in the radiation dose. That's number one. Number two, when you on Dr. Karthik on 128 slice, of course, for a routine imaging for head, chest, abdomen, more or less it's the same. But only when you go to the pediatric cardiac, 128 or 64 makes a difference. Other than that, it is not. But when you move to a higher end CT, when the scan time is reduced enormously, you can reduce the radiation dose provided you have a better detector system that collect enough number of projection so that your image quality is not compromised. Increasing speed can compromise image quality because if you are using lesser number of detectors. So if you have technology, higher number of detectors and a faster scan time, you can combinedly reduce the image quality.
Which of course GE has.
Of course, I will not say GE only. Every company has it. Of course, someone would have pioneered it. I can shamelessly say we have pioneered it.
So what Dhananjay said is a very valid point. Most pediatric, we wouldn't really consider CT. If you can sedate the baby, MRI only is 99% MRI plays a role. You really, I don't really. I see MRI has a more role in. That's why I was very interested in your blanket coil.
Yeah.
Dr. Suresh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Prashant.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So Sunder, Karthik, and Dhananjay and Suresh. Number one, I have 4 questions to Sunder. I think Suresh also can answer this, and Dhananjay, Karthik. I am a neonatologist building a hospital. Karthik, you are staying in Bangalore, corporate or your own. MRI is very expensive affair for the periphery doctors or who are constructing in hospitals in periphery. Definitely MRI is expensive affair. So number one. So because of that, people do buy either 8 slice, if comfortable 16 slice. 16 slice is well and very good, as you said or Dhananjay said. It is well and very good for all the scannings. Number one. Number two, 32 slice, even 16 slice with some machines, like I'm not commenting on any company here, like Hitachi, they will give 0.6 mm and faster 16 slice with that software, whatever the diffusion, with whatever the things are there. So it will also give peripheral angio well and good compared to 8 slice. 16 slice in Hitachi. I'm not comparing Hitachi, just I'm telling you the name. I'm not promoting any company. 16 slice will do peripheral angio well and good. Even diffusion, colo, brain, CT, chest, everything. You people are the radiologists. What I know, the limited knowledge, I am telling you. So that is well and very good. Number one. So higher range, I think so somebody was telling, no need to go at all, because when 32 slice is not much needed, even one other machine is giving 0.6 mm slice, then why 32 slice? Because if you are going for 32 slice, instead of that, we can go for cath lab itself, 64 or 32. Cath lab itself also better. So no need to go for that, because who will buy the 32 slice will have definitely cath lab. If he is having cath lab, why to go for 32? 16 slices more and well and good. This is, I feel, what I came to know about my research since 1 month. Number one, whether I don't know whether I am correct or not. Number second one, I know that refurbished, if it is coming either GE or anything directly, if it is coming from abroad, I know that tube life, it will come around. If somebody is giving 2 lakh, example, GE probably will give 2 lakh, somebody will give 3 lakh, somebody will give around 4 lakh. So how many, like rotations or whatever the life regarding that, before buying, if you are very comfortable and very close to the person, they will tell us that this is the one, tube life is there. So because they will also give 1 year only for the tube life. So according to that, which one? Because I know that Sundar, your talk was excellent. Okay, sorry to say this. Okay, it's a theoretical for Karthik. Dhananjay, is an excellent theoretical thing. But people like us who are end users, but only we want to buy as a purchaser. So how you feel? My question first. 16 slice is enough for all the purpose. Number one, because then we are upgrading to the CT, cath angio. Is it better? We cannot buy the MRI, number one. My first question. And second question, if we know the refurbished, it is coming directly from Japan or whichever the place, if will buy GE, Hitachi or something. If that will go for 4 years, as that rotation, you know what I'm talking. I don't know much about your terminology, Sunder. You should tell me.
Sure.
Okay,
Slices.
which is better? Yeah,
So,
slices, whatever. No,
yeah.
not slices. Some GE will give 2 lakh. Whether it is
Rotate.
slice or I don't know the terminology.
I'll come
What
to
it
that.
is.
Yeah.
No, we got
Okay,
your question, sir. We
because-
got your question.
Got it.
Okay, please answer for me. This is 2 questions. Because end users who are purchasing for the hospital purpose, these 2 questions are really helpful. Please, another 2
So-
questions I'll ask.
Okay. Should I go first, Dr. Karthik? Is it okay?
Yes, please start.
So your first question is regarding the 16
16
slice
slice.
or 8 slice capability. Now, today we have India-made Revolution ACT, which is a 32 slice, which can do all this sub-millimeter imaging. Today there is no multi-slice without sub-millimeter capability across the industry. Okay, most of them, and we pioneered to
Sundar,
make that in India, and
I would
we
like
don't
to
have.
butt in. Sundar, if you don't mind, I can ask you one question because I am using your Revolution ACT.
Right.
The most important thing, I think, what the doctor probably wanted to ask you is, it's not about whether you can get the 0.6 mm during recon. He's asking during acquisition, are you able to get 0.6 mm, which is important for diagnosis.
A very interesting fact. If you look at any body imaging, irrespective whether it is a Siemens, GE, or Philips, body imaging or the peripheral angio, the minimum slice thickness used is 1 mm. Okay, in CT.
That's more than
So,
enough.
more than enough. And abdomen imaging is in pediatric is done around 2.5 mm thickness, not below that. See, as you reduce the thickness, you have to increase MAS to compensate the noise.
Dosage.
Right. So it's a dosage scenario. So having sub-millimeter system, you cannot use it like a radiation frying pan. It's not possible. So practical things also we have to consider. So beautiful 16 slices, 32 slices, everything. Every company has good system. And as you, thanks for using the Revolution ACT. Wonderful innovation done in India can do well and good. And the second question on the refab system coming from the same vendor, if it is GE vendor, GE Goldfield system, GE pre-owned system, if we are doing it and we undertake the rest of things. Okay. So I cannot talk whether it is a 2 crore MAS, 3 crore MAS. This is something a commercial session. But one thing which I can say, if it is you are using your system, you are using the system for a purpose, and for that you charge also. Okay, right? So it's a commercial thing overall. So I don't want to mingle that, bring that commercial into this discussion, but we do a great refab system available also as a vendor, I can say. But whether it is from Japan or whichever country, irrespective, it's a G product. That's what I want to convey into. But we do have new generation system like Revolution ACT, which is a new great innovation. That actually works much cheaper than old generation. I can say old generation refab system, because they may not have iterative reconstruction, they may not have organ dose modulation, etc. Right. So newer generation systems, value systems are much better than old generation system.
Dr. Suresh, would you like to throw something?
Sure. The non-radiologist, but the hospital owner has got
Your voice is not audible, Dr. Suresh. Can you speak a little louder?
Can you hear me now? Is it still a problem? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Speak a little louder. Fine, it's fine. We can hear you.
So I'm not a radiologist, but as a hospital owner, I have invested and I have a lot of experience. First of all, Dr. Sunder, thank you for an excellent talk. I mean, it feels like I was back in college with a complete overview of CT technology and radiation. And one of the things I'd like to put out that since Vinay is also asking a hospital, new hospital. I think today CT scan has become like X-ray. Any hospital of a certain size needs a CT scan. Earlier it used to be for competitive purposes that you had a CT scan because you were worried that sending a patient outside, patient might not come back. But today, a CT scan, like 15 years ago, even 15 years ago, most people were doing CT scans only for brain. Today, CT is a very versatile modality that you can do from head to toe. And like rightly mentioned, comparing an X-ray with CT is not right because the quantum of information you can get on a single CT far outweighs the benefits of doing X-ray judiciously used. I'm not saying X-ray should be replaced. Definitely, X-ray has a role to play, and having this facility in-house has a lot of benefits because, especially in newborns, if you're going to ship the baby to a third-party center, that center typically is more focused on high volume throughput plan for adult patients. They may not be rightly tuned for pediatric and neonatal cases, and because neonatal cases sometimes take time. You have to wait for the baby sedated or go back and forth, which a commercial center might not support you. I'm not saying not all of them, but some of them may have certain concerns. And I think it was Dhananjaya who said that MRI, when it comes to newborns, MRI is far superior, and he's correct. As quite a large hospital with an neonatal center, and we also have 128 slides CT, so I'd like to talk about that. But given a choice, our neonatologist prefers the MRI. It's just that as long as you can keep the baby, motion artifact and moving, able to an MRI, yes. But if you've got a baby on ventilation that needs monitoring, you need special MRI compatible ventilators, MRI compatible monitors, which can become very expensive. So sometimes when you judicially decide between MRI and CT, having a multi-slide CT definitely with the right protocol, if you tune it with the right protocols, you can reduce radiation to a large extent. And most machines and multi-slice doesn't necessarily reduce your radiation. You can reduce to a certain extent, but you can get amazing image quality with almost no motion artifact. So when you don't have a choice, yes, go for a CT. If you have a choice, preferably MRI when it comes to newborns. The other thing was talking about refurbished equipment. So a lot of people ask me about it. And Dr. Dinagara, when it comes to Dr. Dinagara, I'd like to tell you, if you go to the company refurbished system, there are two types of refurbished systems. There are a lot of third-party vendors who buy a MRI, CT from other countries, import it, set it up for you. And there are companies like GE, Siemens who themselves refurbish. They call it remanufacturing. Refurbish is a long term. I believe it is remanufactured. Wherein it's as good as new. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but I think when it comes to the new tube, guarantee, and it's as good as new. And for a country like India, where cost is important, I think remanufactured systems are well worth it. The other thing is, not only do they come with a new tube, they come with the latest software updates, protocols, etc. So in those cases, you can go ahead with remanufactured systems. Third-party refurbished systems, you need to find a good vendor, and if you're lucky, go with it. But that's a risk that you have to take. But definitely, that will be much cheaper. I think that covers most of what I wanted to say.
Yeah, Dekar sir, I hope the question is answered. Dhananjay, would you like to add something? Dr. Dhananjay?
Hi. So if you ask me directly what exactly you want for your hospital, I will ask how many bed hospital you have. So you have 50 bed hospital, 100 bed hospital, 200 bed hospital. See, if you have 200 bed
150
hospital,
bedded hospital.
yeah. So I suggest you can try for a MRI. So it's good option because 150 bed hospital, no, you also have it's like a referral for me. So you'll not only get general cases, you'll get neuro and other cases. So I usually say 200 bed hospital, you go for MRI, but 150, I think you can consider MRI. But if you take a CT, I suggest go for a 16 slice CT. That's more than enough because you're not going to do any cardiac or any complicated angio, all those things. So 16 slice is enough for your hospital, and MRI you can go for 1.5 Tesla MRI, or you have big neonatal unit, you can go for a portable or fixed NICU or PICU specific MRI.
No. Portable is very difficult at present. It's all costing around 4 crores. When MRI only, it is difficult for us. No. Dhananjay, it's very good. No, why we were telling is people around 40, 50 people, 40 people are there. Many people wants to open the hospital, and many people who are there, they will listen in the YouTube also. They will listen. So what I am thinking.
Why I'm suggesting is, see, portable is new thing. It's not it was there before. It was costly or something like that. See, it's new thing. So you should know about it. Like portable is available. So that's the reason I'm mentioning it.
Yeah, dear. Say one more thing. And as Dr. Suresh told, company refurbished. If you will know the tube value or something, how much rotation, or I don't know, you people are knowing more better than me, Karthik or Dhananjay or Sunder. So
see,
if
1 lakh rotation is the minimum guarantee
he
they
will
give.
give 2 lakhs rotation guarantee, I think so. After that, tube is not. Some other company will give 3 lakhs and some company will give 4 lakhs. Suppose as Suresh told, if you will come to know what is the rotation by innermost people, this much, I think so going there is more better refurbished directly from the company for 16 slice, 0.6 with all diffusion, injector, everything. What you people feel, experts?
I agree. I mean, if you're getting I'm not sure against. Do you with refurbish to new tube or what is the GE?
The thing is, it's a very interesting fact. Actually, tube is something where you cannot say whether it will work after 1 crore, whether it will go for 5 crore. Sometime it may go for 10 crore. It's a vacuum system. Okay. So knowingly how much is the tube used, how much it is going to, after transportation, installing in another place, it is going to work after a period of gap. Okay. So which we cannot really predict. But a new tube, if you put on system, can run for a longer. That's for sure. Okay. So and also one more thing that's worth mentioning, sir. One more point I'll say in connection to that. I will come to your suggestion. Today you have new systems. It's called the value segment CT, revolution ACT kind of system, which can actually fall into the same price point of what you're today looking at for a refab system. So you need not have to bother about buying an old one and then gone out on technology after some time. Whereas you have an option of buying a new one with all technology at an affordable price. So that should be my
Sunder, I was coming to the same point. Actually, right. I have had 2 centers with all new machines. And then once we heard about this Sandrad company, and then there are so many refurbished things coming in the market. What I understood now, I think refurbished is definitely not an option with this latest, let it be Siemens, the Go series or the GE, the ACT series. They're all in that price bracket of refurbished itself. And they come brand new with the latest softwares. I don't think there is any option of going for refurbished. The biggest issue with refurbished is the service. I mean, agreed, company refurbished, but then, these are machines which are like 10, 15-year-old models. You can definitely go for the recent ones, which are these series, the ACT series or the Go series in Siemens. So I'm not very sure whether refurbished is a good option. Second is, Dhananjay was telling me 150 bed hospital, you go for an MRI. I'm not so sure because see, MRI, getting it's not the biggest issue. It might even cost you 6 crores. You might be able to afford it. But then you talk about an annual maintenance which goes up to 25, 30 lakhs. every year. So it's not a burden most people would be able to take. So the MRI running cost is what is very important. And that I firmly believe, if you are going to get a lot of inpatients because of MRI, or because you're having an MRI that acts as your USP and is probably going to attract more investors or more patients, then it makes a little bit of a sense to take an MRI. Portable MRI is definitely out. Portable MRI is damn expensive. I don't think in India right now, apart from the corporate hospitals, I don't really think anyone can afford it. And any which ways, portable MRI is not a tried and tested thing.
Practical issues are there in imaging.
It's not at all practical. We are talking practically. Sir is asking practically, he is planning some 50-bed hospital. What is his best option? I feel a CT scan, not even 16, a 4 slice is good enough. See, before, in earlier days, you had the doctor in this Jankaria doctor in Bombay. With 4 slice, he used to do cardiac. So we never had this 64, 128 and all that. And we, honestly speaking, 4 slice is good enough. He was talking about 8 slice, which I think GE doesn't produce anymore. 8 slice. It's only 16.
16. Yeah, 16 is.
Yeah, it's only 16. They go to 16 and then they go to 32. 16 is good enough. I feel their ACT series 16 is good enough. And any which ways, most of it is gimmick. See, for me, the most important thing is not the slices, is the tube. Whether you're having a 3.5 MHU tube, whether you're having a 2 MHU tube, all these things matter in your tube life. Suppose your tube is a 5 MHU tube or a 3.5 MHU tube, you can close your eyes and believe that that tube will go for 2 or 3 years. But if the same thing, you go to a 2 MHU tube, which unfortunately GE is giving us 2 MHU tube, but that tube, definitely the life, there is an issue with that. So if you go for a refurbished with a 2 MHU tube, you're definitely taking some risk. If you're going for a refurbished, look at the MHU of the tube. If you're going for a 3.5 or a 5 MHU tube, you can close your eyes and believe that that will still cater to your needs for 2 or 3 years.
Dr.
Yeah,
Suresh,
Karthik?
So all these have a commercial angle also. When I say it's like we need to cover the customer to their requirement. We can get into CMC contract at an affordable rate, so that you don't bother about the tube. You bother about what you, yeah. Of course, whatever that's a commercial thing. That's why I don't want to open commercial discussion.
No.
There are solutions.
One second. What you were telling? No, Sundar, what we were telling is, see, ultimately it comes to the commercial. Our talk is ultimately commercial talk. Our subject is commercial talk. Don't feel bad, because the reason is how to build a hospital. That itself is commercial. Number one. Number second thing, Dr. Girito commercial bilkul. No other talk. And really your talk is so impressive. It is beautiful. But when it comes ultimately, when you go home, with whom we are sleeping, we are all married people. We will sleep. That's all. Ultimately, when we are becoming old, we are going and don't. But what I'm telling you, ultimately, when we go home and when we are becoming, we should have our own hospital. We should make one name. So for that, this is all. Just Suresh was telling, CT scan is nothing but just DR. If you don't have, then why you are building the hospital? He was telling after even 4 years back when I met him. So that I'm telling you, CT scan is a must. Yeah, Karthik, one question you told me, even Sunder should ask, because 3.5 tube and 5 tube, is the speed or vacuum? He was telling it's a vacuum filled tube. So what is the difference? What is that? You people are radiologists. Which is better? As it goes high, it is better, or what is it?
Because Dr. Suresh
will answer better. Sunder will be able to answer better, but image quality will definitely be better with a 3.5 and 5. I'm sure Sunder will agree with that.
No, the only thing,
and tube life will definitely be better.
I will agree to the first fact of image quality, because when you have a higher tube, you pump in more MAS, of course you give more radiation. Okay, so okay, at the same radiation level we have to think. The other thing on the tube life aspect, I cannot agree that much, because we have 2 MHU tube systems which have a higher lifespan. It's not MHU which controls the tube how you maintain the system is also another important aspect when you are doing a CT. And a very important thing, when you are doing a simple shutdown on CT scan, abrupt shutdown, or without warm up you start your CT scan. So these are all the potential damage which is created on the system, irrespective what is the heat storage capacity. Of the heat storage capacity has to do with number of patients you can do turnaround per hour, where if you are doing 5, 6 or 10 patients per hour, 2 mH tube can easily handle, because today the iterative reconstruction come which need very low MA, very low dose, right? So lower the dose, better, keep the image quality same, and at a lower cost also. You look at the CMC for a 3.5 mH tube versus a 2 mH tube, there is a difference, right? It's an affordable one. It should be a win-win situation at all the ends.
We are not debating with you,
Yeah.
Sunder, on that. Not debating at all. But the thing is, you know what? I'm talking in terms of personal experience. Now, we had a Siemens Emotion with a 3.5 mHu tube. The first tube we changed, and we were not doing less cases. Let me tell you, we were doing about 20, 25 CTs every day. First tube we changed was in 5 years, the fifth year. The fifth year. Now, I know of people, my friends, Dr. Uma Shankar, who runs with the GECT. I know a lot of friends who run with GE. They've always changed their tubes. Even Gopinath was telling me the other day, Dr. Gopinath, their CTs, the tube is getting changed in practically a year. Practically a year. Even your latest CT.
After, sir, Gopinath changed. This was the first ACT system. I literally was standing there. I can tell you what was exact life. And he changed it to an average of 900 patients per month. Okay, not less.
True.
And then he has done that much cases and then replaced the tube. So just now taking the number of patients that this tube change, it's a consumption. You have made money for the tube, right? It's not free scan we are doing.
This is not about Siemens and GE, don't get me wrong at all. What I'm saying is, practical experience, even we are doing about 600 CTs, 700 CTs a month. And now, to, of course, much more due to this COVID thing.
No, one consumable should be there, right?
No, but one point which you touched was very true and very correct. Of course, the CMC will be a little higher. When you are having a higher MHU tube, definitely you're going to expect a higher CMC. But then he's talking about refurbished. If he's talking about refurbished, I feel it's better to go with a higher MHU tube with refurbished.
Yes.
But
with
again,
refurbished. I'm talking only in terms of refurbished, not new, only refurbished.
Yeah, Karthik, Jai, and Suresh, just one more thing. Everybody is telling go for CMC and more tube capacity. CMC. No, I'm just telling you. CMC first year everybody will do free of cost. Second year and every year plus GST. Is this? Yeah. I don't know, because how to build? Because for me, so many people are listening. Is it like 10 lakhs plus GST next year, 12 lakhs plus GST, or 2 years 10 lakhs plus GST 10 lakhs, or is there any bargaining capacity depending on your how, what, where, how? We don't know anything ABCD of CMC bargaining. Okay, and because if I'll ask Sunder will tell company wise. So I'll ask Karthik, Dhananjay, and Suresh how to bargain with these people for the CMC.
I would say the bargaining has to be done when you purchase the machine, because the bargaining is never going to happen after you purchase the machine. They will leave you in the lurch. Suppose you bargain later.
Yes.
See, honestly speaking, I'm not a big fan of CMC for CT. Not a big fan of CMC for CT. If you have faith in your machine that it can actually serve you for 3 or 4 years, I have taken a risk with Siemens. I have run with Siemens. I have never taken a CMC for a CT. So, see, ultimately what happens is it's not the second or third year. The 7th and 8th year, you will end up paying 30, 35 lakhs for CT scan every year for maintenance. Now, that is not going to serve very commercially viable for you, especially if you're having an MRI as well and other equipments. And ultimately end of year, you will get a bill of more than 1 CR, 1.5 CR just as maintenance costs. So I'm not a big fan of that. Of course, you are taking a risk. Tubes are very expensive nowadays. But if you go with GE, which Sunder will like my words now, if you go with GE, the tubes are very, 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 very cheap. Even the new ones. I'm talking about ACT, I think the series. I think the tube cost is around 12 or 13 lakhs, which is, if you even go for a CMC, it is around 16 or 17 lakhs. So you can take a risk. The costliest part which can go in a CT machine, according to me, is a tube. The detectors and all will not really go. So it's really the costliest part which can go in a CT machine is a tube. And tube, if you're going with the GE ACT series and all, I don't think it's a big factor at all. 12 and 13 lakhs for a period of 2-3 years, I'm not so sure it's a big factor. But if you're
I agree with Karthik. So I think here you have to think about durability and how many cases you are doing per day. So depending on that, you can discuss with your.
Sir, Dr. Suresh, final comment. After that, we'll go for the next session. It's 6:30 now, and we'll continue the discussion after the next talk. Dr. Suresh.
Yeah.
CMC.
Quickly, Dinakar, actually depends on the number of cases you do. If you're a high volume center doing 25, 30 cases, CMC might be more viable. If you're a lower volume center, CMC can work out to be very expensive as suggested. So that is one thing. Then the other thing is you have to negotiate. Like Dr. Karthik said, at the time of purchase, reason your maintenance cost, whether it's or complaints, there are two types. You have AMC without tube, where you pay, everything else is covered except for the tube, which might be more economical. Comprehensive includes the tube, whichever it is, freeze it in at the time of purchase order. I'll tell you a secret, because the sales guy will fix the price better than the service guys. Sorry to let out some secrets. The other thing is, if you can get with like a bargain and say 3 years warranty, even if the cost goes up, the advantage is when you buy a machine, you are paying GST at 12%, whereas maintenance contracts are at 18% GST. So that 6% savings can be front loaded and added to your EMI. So that's the advantage you can get. So that, I just had one last topic and last thing about MRIs that was missed out, because we're talking about neonatology. And having an MRI, there's one very valuable investigation called MR spectroscopy that you can do. If you're a neonatal center and have a lot of neonatal cases that need neuroimaging, MR spectroscopy is also a valuable investigation that can be done with an MRI. So with that, I will wrap up.
So we will just, sir, Dinakar sir, with your permission, we'll just hold on. The discussion will continue after the second talk. Yeah. Now I request Mr. Krishnaprasad. Thank you, Dr. Sir. Mr. Sunder, thank you very much. It would be nice if you stay for another 1 hour. So the discussion will be very nice. If you're fine with that. Mr. Krishnaprasad, kindly load the presentation and please start the session. And we'll continue discussion with our panelists. Vijay, we will come to you as well. We'll start with you once the second talk is done.
Okay.
Mr. Krishnaprasad, over to you. Over to you. Start the session.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, team. Thank you, panelists. Thank you, sirs.
Can you see my screen, sir?
Not yet. It takes around 5 to 6 seconds. Yeah, it is just starting. Yes, just select your presentation. Yeah, fine. We can see. Go ahead.
Yeah, hello and good evening, everybody. Thank you, sirs, for giving me this opportunity to be a part of you and participate in this session. I thought the previous session was excellent, very well presented by Mr. Sunder, and the question and answer sessions were very, very interesting. So the topic allotted to me today is about CR versus DR. My name is Krishnaprasad. I'm the head of Prognosis Medical Systems based out of Bangalore. I will start by introducing, I'm sure most of you are either using it or completely aware of it. Computed radiography systems were originally introduced back in the 1980s by Fuji Films, which invented the technology, and subsequently 3 other companies have adopted to it largely. This is the first step towards conversion from a film-based analog system to a digital X-ray. The CR systems use what is called as a photostimulable phosphor screen, very much like the image intensifying screen inside a cassette. but with a little more, with little changes in the chemical. What they do is basically after the exposure, they capture latent electrons in the screen, hold the charge for some amount of time till they're inserted into, let's call it the CR reader. So what the CR reader does is pulls out the screen from the cassette, shoots it with a laser that excite the electrons, and the latent ones get released. These released electrons are then captured by an optical device built into the reader, and that is converted into a short or a very low current, which is mapped onto a computer, and we see an image. The whole process takes about a minute or so to appear onto the computer once the cassette is introduced into the CR reader. Just to compare from a screen film perspective, what generally took about 14 to 15 minutes for the whole process was much shortened by the introduction of computer radiography, which takes about 5 to 6 minutes, approximately, depending on the distance from the X-ray room to the CR reader. Whereas in a digital X-ray, it's almost instantaneous. The minute you shoot, you have the image appearing. So from a workflow perspective and the number of steps involved, you have the CR cassettes with an X-ray system that is involved. So the CR cassettes are inserted into the bucky, whether it's a vertical bucky or a table bucky. Patient's position is set, and once the exposure is made, the cassette needs to be taken and transported to the CR reader. From the CR reader, it goes, once the image is read and extracted, in about a minute or so, the CR console shows the image. The cassette is then simultaneously, the screen which is extracted for image reading is inserted back by, but the old image is erased. The erasure happens through a very bright light. A bright light exposure kind of deletes all the latent electrons from the screen. So it's completely refreshed, and it's now ready for use into the next image. Typically, the workflow is then you print it onto a one-sided digital film, and the film is sent out for reporting or into a PACS system. Now, if you take the same CR system and apply it for a bedside or a point of care kind of a solution, it becomes a little more complicated, because depending on how far the CR reader is, the number of steps involved could increase. Some of the hospitals we have noticed put the CR reader either on a trolley and carry it along, or tug it along with the mobile X-ray system, or there are some solutions where it's inbuilt into the mobile X-ray solution itself. So point of care, it complicates it a little more. The time taken is a little more. And this is something that the new technologies definitely help improve from a workflow perspective significantly. Now, digital radiography was introduced in the 90s. There were some initial avatars of the digital radiography in the form of a CCD-based DR camera. Basically, what happened here was a phosphor screen was placed in front. This would take the image and glow, and at the same time, there would be a camera, a digital camera, which is a CCD-based camera at the back, looking at the screen from behind, and it would just take a picture. And this picture was then processed and made available. When the flat panel systems, DR systems, came into existence, these DR systems kind of very quickly replaced them because they were less space taking. They were a lot more efficient in terms of transformation of the X-rays to a readable X-ray image, which is measured in terms of DQE, detective quantum efficiency, and so on and so forth. So the latest technology, obviously, is the flat panel-based DR system. There are two different types of technologies that are generally used. One is called the direct technology, which is based on amorphous selenium. This is not very popular. It initially took off very well because of the very high resolution and a high DQE that it offers. But later on, the issue became that the stability, especially in hotter and highly humid environments, became an issue, and it was prone to digital noise. So the technology that has stayed and moved forward has been the indirect one, as we call it, which is the amorphous silicon-based technology with which has a phosphor plate. Basically, the screen which we saw in the CR continues to be here, except that it is backed by a complete set of or array of pixels that are basically made out of amorphous silicon. So what they do is they efficiently convert light into electrical signal. So this conversion happens through an array of electrons. The pixel size is an important one that determines the resolution or the number of pixels in a given area. There are two types of screens that are used, the photostimulable phosphor screens. One is called the GAUSS, or the gadolinium oxysulfide. The other one is called cesium iodide, which is the more preferred one these days, especially because of the higher DQE that it offers. So even in the flat panels, they went through an evolution. They have been going through technological changes. Almost all of them were wired. This is the inside. This is what it looks like in a fully hermetically sealed DR panel. If you open it up, you would probably see the substrate, which is a glass-based substrate on top of which the TFT, the transistors are populated with microelectronics involved, and then the phosphor screen, and then the outer cover, which kind of shields it from any kind of damage. So the detectors initially were bulky. They were about 10 kilos in weight, or sometimes even heavier. They were wired, and they needed to be connected to the exome and synchronized for exposure. Otherwise, you would not get the image properly. So the timing was very important. It could not be easily transported from a table bucky to a vertical bucky, which meant that a full digital X-ray system required two of these panels at least, one on the chest stand and one on the table. So the initial technologies, like everything else, is expensive, and this is where the digital X-ray flat panels were also quite expensive. But in time, as technology has evolved, these larger, heavier detectors evolved into a smaller, lighter, portable kind, initially with handles. And as more and more technology got into it, including communication technology and what is called the AED, the detectors per se have evolved drastically. So that was generation one, what we saw in the previous slide. And this is probably the most important change that has happened. Now there is no need for a wire anymore for connectivity or transfer of image to the workstation. It all happens through Wi-Fi. AED, automatic exposure detection, is made it possible to retrofit it to any existing X-ray system, very much like the CR cassette, where CR took off, and this was the first step of digitization from an analog system. DR is doing the same thing today. Battery technology has improved significantly, which means that there is a much better, longer battery life with more exposures per charge. The build has become stronger. Carbon fiber and such lightweight technologies, which are material technologies, which is much better, are put to use. So stronger build with better IPX ratings. IPX is basically ingress protection, which I will talk about in the next slide a little bit. It has, most of the modern detectors have built-in memory functions, which means in case accidentally there is no communication, Wi-Fi communication with the computer system for whatever reason, the last image that was exposed is held within the detector. So this is a big advantage, and no need for any kind of re-exposure. From a workflow perspective, DR is definitely very, very much more efficient. First of all, the detector ideally should be fixed into one of the buckies. If you have a two-detector system, there are, of course, single detector systems available, and we'll talk about it a little bit later on. but the detector is fixed. You make the exposure in 3 to 5 seconds. You have a preview image appearing on the screen. If everything is okay, you can just process the image and that's it. So the only time-taking process is that of the patient positioning. So it's from a X-ray room perspective, from a workflow perspective, from an application perspective, it is extremely flexible and very, very friendly. And even from a point of care, like a bedside application, the DR system is head and shoulder more convenient than a CR system, primarily because you place it under the patient, position the X-ray, and when you make the exposure, the image appears on a built-in computer system which has a touch panel onto the mobile itself, and within a few seconds you have the image there. So you can then drive the X-ray mobile X-ray system to the next bed and repeat the same functions. Everything is stored here, and once you are done with the entire rounds, you can come back and either load it onto through a LAN cable or push it to the PACS system or whichever systems that you have to the workstation through a Wi-Fi. So applications such as ICU, NICU, emergency, OT, it's extremely friendly and more productive to use a DR system. In this particular presentation, there has been a little bit of focus from my side also on the neonatal care. One of the biggest advantages that DR offers over CR is the dose factor, the X-ray dose factor. Because of the higher DQE, especially when you look at a cesium iodide-based detector, it is significantly higher, 65% as compared to the DQE of a normal CR system, which is around 25%. So you're talking of a much lower dose on a neonate, especially when you're doing studies on a newborn. You are looking at possibility of cancer risk at a later stage, which is one of the areas that people have to be extremely careful while using ionizing radiation. And this is where I think DR and the better technology makes a significant difference. The difference also represents a 33% increase in the MA exposure used in the CR system as against a higher kV, lower MAS, which means significantly lower skin dose and lower radiation effects on a neonate. From a CR versus DR perspective, if you look at which is better, CR, of course, has a significant advantage in cost or the initial investment. That was very much true, especially in the early days when detector technology was expensive. The flat panel detectors were expensive, nearly 5 to 10 times more expensive than a CR system. But today, this has changed. More manufacturers are around today. There is a lot of competition, which has also driven the costs of a DR system down significantly. So for a 1.3x or 1.5x of a CR investment, one can get a DR flat panel. So this is definitely making DR the go-to technology as against the CR, which was otherwise one of the roadblocks. Cost was one of the roadblocks. The other sea change that has happened in the DR technology is the fact that you can retrofit it to an existing installation of an X-ray room. So if you already have an investment in the form of an X-ray room, earlier DR systems demanded that you have a generator that would be compliant and that could be synchronized. But what was introduced newly in all DR system flat panels was what is called as the AED, automated exposure detection. So this helped make it almost akin to that of a CR system. The image quality is better especially for the given dose. Your productivity is much higher. It gives you in less than a few seconds as against 5 to 7 minutes in a CR system. It's a completely digitized setup, which is a DICOM output, so you can do multiple things with it, either print, push to a PACS, or store it depending on what your workflow is at your hospital. High patient throughput areas or even medium throughput patient areas, this is the preferred technology. It's a compact profile, it's portable, and so even bedside is easily available. So Wi-Fi detectors sometimes, in some cases, we have seen hospitals use it for both the portable as well as at their fixed room, depending on the kind of workload that they have and the timing of the workload. You can go with a single-sized detector, which is a 14 by 17 size, which covers all the investigations. But there are smaller sizes also available from some of the companies. Against the CR system, there is a significant dose reduction in a DR system. 33% to 50%, depending on the type of scintillator that is used in a DR system. Scintillator, like I said before, it's either Gauss, which is 33% better, or if it's a cesium iodide scintillator, it's 50%. Ideal for high workflow points. The only part that is probably that stands out as a negative at this point in time is if somebody were to drop the detector, it could cause irreparable damage. But there is huge improvement even in this area. The IPX, the ingress protection and physical drop test ratings have improved from many companies. Many manufacturers today offer tough detectors that do not break that easy. So there is a solution there as well, which has emerged. And more people are now especially turning towards the DR versus a CR. I talked about the dose efficiencies. Doses are measured about the DQE and the MTF. These are some of the most commonly used measurements, parameters of measurement. So overall, from an advantage for a DR system, we are looking at superior workflow and throughput. We are looking at a better dose efficiency, which is much better compared to a CR. The portability and retrofit upgrade capabilities have now been injected into the DR panels thanks to the advancement in the Wi-Fi, which is the communication technology, and also in the AED, which is the automatic exposure detection capabilities built into the DR panels. Panels with advanced applications like the tomosynthesis and dual energy is now coming out and is available in some of the markets. Still a little expensive, but these are for, again, specialized applications. So you don't need to buy a full system with these capabilities and do dual exposures. With a single exposure, you can actually get a dual energy result, which can basically do the subtraction of the bone window or for a soft tissue window. So future panels will be better. One of the things that is going to happen is we are looking at a flexible, unbreakable kind of a substrate, which is glass today, but you have these tough glasses today that don't break, but then there is a change there as well. So welcome change to a flexible substrate that will not break. So even if you drop it, nothing happens to the panels. So while there is already such panels available to a large extent, this gets even better. Of course, there is another movement in the technology, which is the dynamic panel, which has been available for a few years now. But the multifunctional capabilities for doing, for example, barium and various other things, if you want to do swallow, those kind of things, you can use such fluoroscopic methods, especially in gastroenterology and several other applications. So if you were to buy a DR panel tomorrow to upgrade your setup for a digital X-ray, what would you want to look for today? First of all, you would want a detector that is compact and lightweight. You want it to be with a reliable and high image quality one, which would make it a high resolution solution. Typically look for a pixel size of around 139 microns or less. Various companies offer from 100 microns going up to 200 microns. Smaller the better as far as microns are concerned, because more number of pixels, which means much higher resolution and better image quality. Try to choose quality and reputed manufacturers who have already accepted international quality and who have been around, a good reputation. AED is a very, very useful detection today because you can use it in older systems if you already have an investment there. Wi-Fi options are available for transfer of images to the computer system. And a tethered connectivity option is also available. A tethered one is just a replacement for or an addition to the Wi-Fi system. You just plug and play and it becomes a wired system. IPX rating of which is again ingress protection of 55 or better. So one is for solids and the other one 5 and 5. One is for solid protection or dust protection. The other one is for liquid protection. So a higher IPX rating gives you protection from dust, body fluids, water, and so on. The load factor of 300 kgs plus surface load is the drop and physical damage that may occur during handling of the detectors. Last image hold, the advantage, of course, is in case of disconnecting from the image acquisition system, you have the last image hold, so you can reestablish that connectivity and transfer the image. No need for a re-exposure. A to D conversion, especially for a grayscale, this is ideally the technology of use today is the 16-bit conversion. Try to look for a cover refurbishment possibility because covers are the ones that generally get damaged over time. 1 or 2 years, I think all of us have seen the way outer cassette outer covers, the way they go through damage. Similarly, in DR systems, you can buy a new cover after 2 years because very seldom do we see damage to the internal parts. What would be an ideal DR for my X-ray room? This is a question that a lot of our customers do ask on a regular basis. It is important to choose the right one. If you are running a diagnostic center or up to a 100-bedded hospital, you would probably be doing about anything from 20 to 40 case patients per day or more. Typically, these solutions that I'm just proposing here can handle up to about 70, 80 patients. So you're looking for a single detector being an expensive component. You can make do with even a single detector. What typically happens is you put it in this vertical bucket and we provide you with, for example, a mobile X-ray table. So you can turn this and do supine as well as chest X-rays and all the other images. So this is possible even with a single detector and a fixed one. So the risk of dropping it doesn't exist because it's inside a bucket. The bucket is turnable and usable. From a generator perspective, a 500 mA or better is what I would advise to all our friends, primarily because you can make do with even 100 mA or a 300 mA. But as you go towards a digital technology, the ability to do a high kV and a low MS kind of a snapshot saves you on dosage. This is not possible in a line frequency or an older kind of a technology. So the choice of a generator capacity, a minimum of 500 mA would be better because that is the cost difference between a 300 mA and a 500 mA is very, very small. An all-important choice would be, of course, the tube, depending on the workload. I think our earlier speaker, Mr. Santosh, was emphasizing on the fact of the right MHU tube. So this is an important one, depending on your workload. So higher the KHU, the better lifespan of a tube. Even though the X-ray tubes are not as expensive as CT tubes, definitely something that you would do well by choosing the right one because the weight between two exposures for a higher KHU is much less. We all know that patients tend to come between a certain work hour, which is typically morning time or spread over to the afternoon time, and the rest of the time the systems are ideal in any kind of facility. The other advantage with a single detector solution is a 17 by 17 full size panel. So it covers everything. You don't have to do portrait, landscape. You can do all the investigations in this. If you are a 500 bed or a higher end diagnostic center with a lot more workload, you would probably want to, which is like 100+ patient kind of a workload. You're looking at ideally a floor mounted or a ceiling mounted dual detector system. A dual detector helps you save time. It is it takes less time for you to position. The generator capacity, I would start with a 630 mA or a 50 kilowatt. The tube, again, would be a minimum of 200 or ideally a 300 kHu solution. 17 by 17 on the chest stand and a Wi-Fi based detector of 14 by 17 on the bucky. Why? Because especially if you have a trauma case, you could, without moving the patient from the stretcher or from a wheelchair, do some of the investigations using a Wi-Fi detector. So less trauma for the patient and less movement for the patient. For a larger 1,000-bedded teaching specialty hospital, district hospitals, these kind of locations, you would definitely want to look for a 1,000 mA or more ceiling suspension with a little bit of automation to save throughput, because improve throughput. It saves a lot of time. You're looking at a 400 or a 600 kHu tube. You're good to do more than 250 to 300 patients. Sometimes some of our centers, they do more than 400 cases in a day, 24/7. So this is typically for an X-ray room, a fixed X-ray room, depending on the kind of size of your hospital, the budget that you have, the number of patients that you treat or conduct investigations on. From a point of care or a bedside X-ray solution, you're looking at an NICU, ICU, emergency, or an OT. Typically for chest imaging, you could do hip joint and other kind of X-rays also. So depending on your usage, you have for neonatal use, for example, a 4 kilowatt or 100 mA, or going up to a 6 kilowatt, which is a 150 mA. That could make do for a neonatal purpose. ICU, some people do prefer, for want of a lower budget, a 6 kilowatt or 150 mA. You can use, ideally, I would position a 15 kilowatt for a mid-size hospital where you could do all the investigations with one mobile X-ray. Larger hospitals, you have a better choice of 4 kilowatt for neonatal work to a 32 kilowatt battery or a non-battery, both of which is available in India today. Battery solution, the advantage is you don't have to plug in at the bedside while making the exposures, X-rays. It can do up to 150, 200 exposures on one full charge. And they are motor driven, so you can easily drive it conveniently to the bedside of the patient and do whatever investigation that you need to do. So finally, these are typically the different types of work that you can do. You can buy a retrofit and upgrade your analog X-ray system. These are digital X-rays that range from a value-based solution going right up to a fully automated ceiling system. Mobile DRs, which start from 100 mA going up to a 32 kilowatt battery type of a system. And of course, C-arms, depending on the kind of investigation, typically for orthopedic, gastro, and whatever use that you're looking at. So this is basically what I wanted to talk to you about. These are the products that we make at Prognosis Medical Systems, and please feel free to get in touch with us if you have any more questions.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Krishnaprasad. So now we will continue the discussion. So now I request our panelists, Dr. Karthik, Dr. Dhananjay, Dr. Suresh, and Mr. Vijay Kumar. So we'll start with Mr. Vijay Kumar to throw his experience and his understanding of today's topic and his suggestion for the audience. Vijay? Vijay? Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, very good evening. So can I share my screen?
Yeah, sure. I think Vijay, we cannot see your slides. Dr. Suresh? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So we would like to know your views on today's topic.
Yeah.
Sure.
I
Sorry.
agree with if you are setting up a new hospital, don't even think of going here. Costs have come down because we started retrofitted our machines about more than 10 years ago. And I think we spent almost 35 lakhs, I don't know, 2 times the cost of the machine on DR system, which is retrofit. So today, DR panel cost has come down drastically. That the video is leaking. The this in terms of workflow and time saving far outweigh the extra cost on a DR system. We have brought up some interesting points because most DR systems, most companies tell you a DR system that is 17 by 1470, and here it's registered 1770. If you can afford it, yes, 1770 is definitely more ideal because in terms of workflow. But again, like I said, the cost is usually a little bit higher. So you can go with the 1417, and the 1417 is much more easy to move between the horizontal and vertical buttons. If you're retrofitting your X-ray and has two separate buttons. Other than that, can you hear me?
Yes.
So there's one more thing which I think you missed out because just like we're talking about sizes in the Attenuating, there are smaller sizes like 8 by 10 that might be more suitable for the NICU. Inside the, when you put it under the baby, an 8 by 10 panel is much more easier to handle. When we're using CR systems, you have different sizes. We are trying to put a protein something into a baby that is, up to 3/4 of a kilo, connected to hardly any space left because there's only tubes coming out. So if you're dedicated, a large mainnet to set up, it might make sense to invest on smaller. Today, we are actually in the process of converting even our portable X-rays to DR, and costs have come down. Otherwise, it's an excellent presentation by Krishnaprasad. He covers the entire workflow and the advantages of going DR.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Suresh, and thank you, Krishnaprasad. Vijay Kumar?
Yes. Is it okay now? Sorry, I lost a little bit.
Yeah, we can see your screen. Try to select your presentation.
Yeah, is it okay now? Is it visible?
No, we are seeing minimize your screen. We can see we'll be able to see the PowerPoint. Minimize your screen, what you have.
Minimize
on the right hand side, there is a minus sign on the top. Yeah, minimize that. Yes, minimize.
Yeah.
Can we are seeing a blank screen.
Blank screen. I'm able to see the sharing.
See when you go to share, try to select the PowerPoint. You have selected the desktop or window.
Okay.
Try to select. First, you open the PowerPoint on the background. Minimize the window of Microsoft Teams. Open the PowerPoint. Then maximize the Microsoft Teams window. Or go to Share Tray and press on the PowerPoint.
Okay.
Yeah. So till Vijay does that, we'll go to Dr. Karthik. So see, the session is basically to give an idea about the new entrepreneurs or the older entrepreneurs who wants to make their hospital more cost effective and give a good quality of healthcare. So how to coordinate with the existing health system? Either they have to invest or they should utilize any of the investment which is in and around them. So you have been doing and catering in your branches, Dr. Karthik, and you have been quite helpful and quite supportive for the hospitals which are around your diagnostic center. So what is your experience on this? What you would like to share, your experience what you want to share with our audience?
Prashant, it's very simple. What I feel is if it's like, if it's a higher bedded hospital funded probably by investors, I mean, there's no harm in having your own setup because obviously it saves time and with regards to patient also probably it's a better idea to have your own investigations. Because for example, let's just say an RTA or a stroke case, the time spent during traveling can actually matter and affect the patient's outcome. But then in general practice, most of the hospitals which are opening are all small to medium sized hospitals. They won't have that kind of an investment to to suffice to just invest into 6 crores into MRI, 2 crores into PT. It's not that easy for them. So in that case, your nearest diagnostic center, if it is offering some good quality, of course you have to invest, you have to go deep into it as to what machines they're having, how they're running it, what are their technicians, who are their doctors, who are their radiologists. If you find that they are having a good setup with good doctors, good reporting radiologists, and good service, why not? There is no harm in actually utilizing a partner. It's almost like a partner for your hospital, a diagnostic partner. There is no harm in that. Nowadays everything happens. Even insurance patients are being taken on credit facilities. So there is nothing like insurance patients can't be catered to. So being a diagnostic center owner, I would definitely advocate that they use diagnostic partners. But of course, if you are having a higher investment and you're having a you're having a large investment from investors or from your private fund, then fair enough. You can definitely invest.
So to sum up your suggestion, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. So, all right, Vijay, we have been eager to hear you. Over to you. We were able to see the slide.
Perfect. I'm sorry. Just quick introduction about me. My name is Vijay Kumar. Worked in GE Healthcare for 14 years in various countries. Started in India, moved to US, Europe, Israel, and China, and come back to India. So we talked quite some time back, Revolution City. Sunder used to be my friend and colleague. We used to work together. So that is one of the greatest innovation which we originated the idea to kill refurbishment business in India. And now it is really proved. The idea is to make our India healthcare as a affordable healthcare. So with that background, my entrepreneurship got stimulated. So we started to hunt all kind of big time equipment like MRI, PET CT, gamma camera, and then of course digital radiography, and then CM segment. So it's a great motivation to do something for India, and that stimulated me to come out from GE Healthcare and started this company. So a pool of people similar in nature, thought process, come out from US, China, Italy, India, and started this company. This is called PEZ Medical. So today we started the journey with wireless wired panel in digital radiography, and then we were about to start. I think Dr. Karthik and we quite some time talked about CT tube, AMC charge, CMC charge, and then same for MRI, helium, and then gradient coil, all kind of stuffs. How do we make it affordable? Only it can be done if products are made in India. With that background, we made an attempt to do CT tube manufacturing in India. So I think we talked about 2 MHU, 3.5 MHU, 6.3 MHU, all kind of tubes. Basically, we forgot to do one thing, is glass tube versus metal from tube. And that's the one which drives the cost. I think I was trying to make an attempt with Sunder. I think due to shortage of time, we didn't enter there. So glass tube is the one which is from the Ranjan days, 105 plus years, nothing has been changed. It's a glass vacuum. And then the reason last 25 years, there is a metal frame tubes is getting popular, and Siemens introduced quite a long time back, and GE is introducing only in higher end tube, which is higher end CT machine, which is 64 and above. And now they are trying to bring more and more for even 16 slice, 32 slice. So all the revolution ACT is running under glass tubes. So the workload is going to be defined for the tube. I think that's quite, we can talk long time. So due to the shortage of the time, I'll just move on to my topic. Anytime, any kind of technical related topics, I'll be very happy to guide the entire team, because I'm pure technical, come up background from engineering. And with that background, I entered into this entrepreneurship. And now I'm going through a lot of new learnings from India and Indian customers. So I think my friend KP talked about digital radiography. We make digital radiography flat panel detector. So we talked, I think, X-ray technology. We moved from phosphorus plate from dark room, and then CR, and then now we are in the era of DR. Or just to tell you the little point of that, in the world, only India and Africa countries are using CR, and rest of the world migrated to DR. And it is nothing to do with any kind of technology change. It is just pure in the form of affordability. All developed nations, any kind of CR or DR X-ray image are paid through insurance. And only in India, it's paid from the pocket, the patient pocket. And that's the one which is driving still CR and sustainable manner. And DR is still viewed as a higher investment perspective. And with that, we thought of entering into manufacturing the flat panel detector in India. So what we are doing is currently is we are making it more and more affordable. So when I say affordable, the CR and the DR gap is 3 to 4 lakh rupees today in terms of retrofit. And the sooner we bring the gap closure, which is nothing but a CR is equal to DR cost, obviously the market will migrate. And I think friends talked about the DR benefits, which is much latest technology, which can solve entire clinical applications today. And in India, we have a unique problem, and that dropping the panel. Because in foreign, abroad, the droppage is really covered in the insurance. In India, still we are figuring out how do we break it through insurance. And of course, Indian brains are a little better in compared to the deriving the solution when compared to the other nations. So people like us is coming up with, even if it is trying to break, how do we avoid the breakage opportunities? And we design some kind of a stand which will help to avoid the breakage. So I think I'm not going to talk more about technical in terms of more and more investment perspective, where a diagnostic center or the doctor or the center who was wanting to invest, whether CRS, DR investment difference. The patient pays, doesn't matter whether it's a dark room or CR or DR, he still pays only 200 to 300 rupees because we can't charge more. So how do we make it affordable and make it sustainable business case for the customers? So this is a small comparison chart when compared to CR versus DR investment difference. So if you see overall net outflow for the customer, if you see, these are the things which is hidden cost in CR. For example, your air condition and the UPS is mandatory, and the UPS maintenance is also mandatory. And then of course higher radiation we talked. And then one of the CR, if you really see the CR, since I come from manufacturing background, if you want to manufacture the CR machine, and that itself minimum 4 lakh rupees. This is the truth. But how still they are giving 5.56 lakh rupees without any big margin after paying 30% of import duty and GST in India today? This is the situation of any medical manufacturer. They make money through film cost, and that's how it gets subsidized. It's a very welcomed creative idea developed from India and sent to the global from all the film manufacturing companies. And small factor, India imports 750 crore films used in medical industries. 23 customs officers are working, are getting paid through these film incomes of Indian customs. And this is the small data. So when I made an attempt to move from film completely away to digital, and I got this response from Indian government that irrespective of environmental, irrespective of insurance requirements, film needs to be continued at least next 3 to 5 years. Okay, so there are a lot of advantage, disadvantage is there in DR versus CR, but in terms of cost, the sustainable maintenance cost, DR will drive low maintenance cost over a period of time because there is no movement of any roller or bearings in the component. So it is just a plate. It's a TFT touchscreen. It is like a mobile phone. In the beginning, is you have a touchscreen, and which and the down you have a PCB boards, and then you have a ASIC, which is nothing but a software written, and it's driving the image. It is none other than same technology which has been established quite 50 years. The only thing is the TFT touchscreen scintillation material. There is a huge resolution. I mean, revolution is going on in terms of accuracies, like the pixel size, and then breakable versus non-breakable, and then the accuracy of the image acquisition. So it's a big change. If you see CT detector versus digital radiography detector, your digital radiography detector is high, very high. I would say 3 times higher accuracy of resolution than CT detector. So CT detector is made out of gadolinium, which is GADAX based, GOS, whereas all the X-ray detector is moving from GADAX to CSI. And country like India is little ahead when compared to other nation. Straight away we are moving to CSI. Okay, so particularly if you see overall, I think we talked about more in terms of digital. It is just one panel and one laptop. That's more sufficient go forward. And any type of X-ray can be driven, whether bedside or chest or mobile or fixed room, anything you can drive through simple cassette and one laptop. And once the cloud-based software is run, only one laptop is required and mobile phone is more sufficient, which means your panel itself will act as a computer. You will have put the chip and you will send the image, process and send the image to cloud. And from the cloud, you can use any tablet or a mobile phone can view the image. We may think that, is it make it affordable? Yes, it is affordable. In fact, it will reduce the price. Your computer cost today, 48 to 50,000 rupees will come down if you move it to cloud platform. And today, all the cloud forms are very well compliant with respect to all kind of regulatory. So, and then company like us is coming up in setting up the flat panel manufacturing detectors. So even if you drop, people like us can solve the issues and at affordable price today. And we are also coming up with our own insurance plan where you just buy, even break, doesn't matter. You just come and replace the TFT screen. So if you see the weight of the panel as weight of the CR cassette remains same, 3.2, 3.5 kgs. It is just a mindset of some technicians in the background, which is trying to get it, that it is not possible, but it is possible to change it, go forward. And we also introduce a motorized robotic arm all-in-one stand where you can put the detector, use it for chest X-ray as well as for bedside X-ray, and with the storage, and you can use it anywhere. And we also introduced affordable DICOM printer where your regular photo print can be used with a polythene based film, blue color or gray color based, and take it. There is absolutely no image detail missing because the print details are printed in DICOM images. So in terms of laser images and this images with your images that can be seen through a mobile or tablet or any PC, it remains same. That's level we are driving the market. So in next 2 years, I'm sure India will completely migrate to DR platform. If not, people like us are trying to match the price of CR equivalent to DR. The only challenge what we understand from thing is in India, the core raw material, if you see the periodic table, all the rare earth materials not available in India. We have to import. When we want to import, we have to pay 32% duty. And that's what is killing in terms of reducing the price. But there are technology which is coming, which will definitely ensure that it will reduce the price and all Indian customers will migrate to DR platform. What is the objective of DR? Once a DR is migrated, there are so many platforms can be changed. For example, your fluoroscopy application can be very, very easy in terms of doing this. So because your one panel can be used as a digital radiography as well as fluoroscopy. You don't need to do it. The moment fluoroscopy done, obviously any cath lab can be easily attacked with a kind of big time, Indian implementation of Make in India. So once cath lab, then you will get all kind of cath lab application can be done. Then entire CM application can be done. Entire dental market can move from 2D to 3D imaging. So everything will migrate to detector technology. If you see any kind of equipment, X-ray equipment, your technology, X-ray generation technology not changed 100 years. So your mechanical is not going to be changing anything. So the only portion, 2/3 of the cost of any X-ray equipment owned by detector. The moment the detector cost come down and everything will be affordable. And that is one of the reason but today if you take cath lab is minimum investment is a new machine, brand new machine is 3 crore, full setup. And cath lab is booming in entire India. So, but can any cardiologist can come and set up the easily? No, intervention, it's not possible easily. They have to go and work in one bigger hospital. So how do you make it affordable for 1 crore machine, 80 lakh rupees machine? So we have to bring a Make in India of dynamic panel, and that's what we are into. And we are investing heavily on R&D, particularly Indian-based requirements. And in next 2 to 3 years, all kind of platform like mammography and all the kind of things will be there. The CT and the MRI will be the destination in terms of bringing Make in India. And today, it's a huge investment. So we are trying to figure it out within the government of India. We made a lot of pitch, and Ashwardhan and all the team is involved now. So we are trying to take support from Indian government and then try to bring lot technology to India, so that all kind of AMC, CMC charges can be amortized in affordable manner for all the Indian customers. And that's one of the key deliverables. People like us come out from all the big MNCs. So this is a short and small presentation from our side. So any kind of questions?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Vijay. So I'm looking like it's looking like there's a company in the US which manufactures ultrasound-based chip, Butterfly IQ, so which can be plugged into your iPhone or your Android phone or your tab or laptop, and you can do the scans. And that is also a cloud-based system, and it's hardly $2,000 US. So which is way cheap, and especially country like India, because of the PCP&T, I think it has not reached India. So I'm looking forward something like that, what you are trying to innovate and bringing to in our country. Yeah, can you kindly unmute yourself, Karthik? You want to say unmute, Karthik. Unmute yourself, Karthik. Unmute yourself, Karthik. So I think it definitely makes sense, completely digitizing so that the space is minimum, the films, the effect on the environment, and the overall cost on a long run will be definitely low. And if you're trying to match it with digital with a lower price, that is like fantastic. Karthik, you are about to say something. You can unmute yourself and you can speak. Yes, Karthik, you can unmute yourself and you can speak. Yeah. Yeah, I think we can't hear him. It's all right. So now I request our delegates, if they have any doubts, they can directly unmute and ask our speaker. We have Mr. Krishnaprasad, who gave a fantastic presentation, and our panelists, Dr. Suresh, Dr. Karthik, Dr. Vijay, and Dr. Dhananjay. I'm sure most of the things are covered. Dr. Suresh, would you like to add something, or do you have anything to say?
Yeah, actually, it was a good presentation by Vijay. Go to the technical aspects of VR. While Sir gave us overview of VR and YTR, Vijay's presentation was more technical and explained it more in terms of how VR works. So, so what he says is right. Actually, when we were investing a little bit more on VR, he also says there is a lot of space saving. VR equipment, keeping it there, and as I mentioned earlier, workflow wherein if you have a mobile X-ray, you can just keep doing one patient that we have instead of having to come back across the CR plate on the CR machine. And of course, earlier quality on the CR is far in the CR system. Anyone else want to add anything?
Karthik?
Yeah, Prashant, am I audible now?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just telling you were talking about that chip and all. So that's the biggest problem with India is our government agencies. They will never allow anything to come into India, just like PCP, NDT and all that. Now coming to this DR and all that, see DR, I'm talking only.
I think we just lost him. Karthik? Yeah. Suresh, you can unmute, Suresh.
Sorry, I'm making the same mistake. Actually, if you look at it, like I was telling you about CT being like an X-ray, my analog is ultrasound is now like a stethoscope. Every specialty can use ultrasound. It's no longer the domain of just a radiologist and just abdominal ultrasound like before. Orthopedic surgeons are using it, neonatologists are using it. So it's high time government go open the site. But unfortunately, the progressive laws like PNDT, the true potential of point of care ultrasound has not been recognized.
Yeah, I mean, for this doctors cannot do anything. It's a public which they have to change their mind. PCP is purely done to prevent the female infanticide, fetal infanticide. Anyway, sir, so we have our NNF president, Kotreshi sir. Kotreshi sir. Kotreshi sir. You can unmute and you can speak, sir. Yeah, I think some technical issue. Anyway, it was a fantastic presentation by our speaker and our panelists. So I'm not seeing any questions as of now. So anyway, we have discussed in detail and in depth.
Prashant,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
See, now DR panels have come, but X-ray machine never changed. Same two wheels, same pushing from X-ray technician or from doctor or from nurse. Okay, that X-ray machine will go to all the floors, at least 3 floors, at least 1 X-ray, not each floor. Okay, and it will come back to NICU or OT separate to nahi rakhta. And now COVID ward also it will go, sometimes it will come. Just what I am telling you is there anything short like DR panel what they have made it out? Why Vijay cannot make Vijay is also having the same X-ray machine. Same, that also should be pulled. That also should bring it. And only 60 kV for animals or something like that, where we will go to the forest for taking for the animal X-ray. That is there 60 kV or 25 kV, something like that. Is there anything to keep in the example adult ICU, neonatal ICU, pediatric ICU? Then this one movement for the ward, or if it is like that, anything is there for the DR carrying, take the X-ray, give the report then and there only, or it will go to the software. Is there anything, Suresh? Suresh, if I'll ask, it is too much. Sorry. Okay, Vijay, you can do something for it. Big machine here, pushing is very difficult from nurses. Going to the second floor, third floor. What you have any other solution other than this?
Okay, so if you see X-ray manufacturing technology, there is the biggest revolution in trend. What is the weight reduction? So, for example, today the average weight of Indian machine is 225 kg. The one what we have introduced recently, last 1 year back, is 80 kg. So we are able to bring the weight down by almost around 1/3 to 2/3 of the weight, but still not sufficient. There are a huge research going on in terms of X-ray emitting tube, which will take care of except lumbar imaging. Rest all the kind of neonatology and all, it's very fine. In terms of extremities and chest, everything can be done. In terms of camera form, which means like your regular SLR camera. So there is a two company. AirTouch is the company, first company introduced in the world, can carry the camera type, and then it's like 1 kg machine. You can shoot the X-ray and then take the image. Image capturing is still DR is the latest technology. So with this, we can start. But again, in India, the ARB, I'm so sorry to tell, ARB norms and regulation is 1950 standards. Still long way to go. So in terms of understanding what is the latest technology and how we need to deploy or how to motivate for the research-based people to do is still long way to go. First of all, people have to fund from their own side. So the R&D has to be completely backed up by Government of India. Then obviously people like us can connect the dot throughout the world, because I have personally handled 7,800 suppliers across the world. Okay, I visited almost.
Yeah, Vijay, 1 second. Lack of shortage of time. One small thing. You know the NICU means. You know the where is the warmer means. That heater. Is there any machine like SLR camera? Just hang it, because 45 centimeter from the baby. Just keep the DR without disturbing the baby downside. In all the warmers, it is available. Then tell the sister to shoot it. Is it available in India?
No, currently not. We have given something similar, modified baby warmer to government hospital.
Not warmer, sir. X-ray shooting machine.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a tray. Under the tray, DR panel is always fixed.
No. That is all the even 28,000 rupees warmer also available. What I am asking you, Vijay, is X-ray emitting X-ray machine, small, like animal and all. We will take when we go to the forest, like that machines.
Yeah, today ARB doesn't give the approval less than 50 mm machine for human application. That's a limitation.
Yeah, Suresh, you are telling something.
Actually, there is a company called Micro-C Imaging. I was just looking up that, I've seen them, which they come out with a handheld, like an SLR, little bigger than SLR, handheld portable imaging device. It's in the US, and they've been working with NASA and I've been following them. Micro-C Imaging. So close to what you're saying, but one hope I have in the future for what Dinagar is asking right now, the tube is the major constraint, because like from the time of William Röntgen till now, the tube technology hasn't changed. It's still a cathode anode tube. Whereas if you see the same lighting bulb, but now become LED, sorry. So maybe in future we'll have an LED based source, X-ray source, like we have LED source, and that will be a revolution.
Exactly.
So Vijay, Suresh, at present, there is no machine. So what Vijay told is less than 50 kV human this thing, it's not allowed. So it is not available because in neonate, hardly we do use more than 4.5 or 5. What is that, MA or KV? And another one is more than 45 to 50. We don't use MA or KV. I get confusion always. So we don't use. So like that NICU, PICU and all, if there is a small machines, hang it just to the warmer, tell the sister to take it. It is available. Otherwise, bring the machine, pull the machine. Same, it is like a space of occupying lesion. That machine is once again occupies the space. So Suresh and Vijay, please, you both together in something, do the modification. So it will be used. Suresh, you can do it with Vijay. Okay, over to Prashant. Nice, Suresh, I am always asking for I50. I never ask for I10 or I10.
Like the Trump says, you want iPhone 100 immediately.
I want immediately. Okay, over to Prashant.
Yeah. I think we had a wonderful discussion with all the inputs from our expert, from speaker and panelist. So on behalf of NNF Karnataka,
No, ask
thank
anybody
you.
is having any question. Anybody is having any question.
Delegates, you have any question? You can unmute and yourself you can ask.
Okay.
All right. So thank you on behalf of NNF Karnataka State Chapter for this wonderful discussion. I'm sure all the inputs which has been given is very valuable, very practical. So we would like to thank Mr. Krishnaprasad, Sunder, Vijay Kumar, Dr. Suresh, Dr. Karthik Hegde, Dr. Dhananjay, and all our delegates who made time to participate in this. Thank you very much. A great we'll see you again this coming Sunday with another new topic of the hospital health infrastructure related topic. Till then, have a great day, great evening. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.